Hi, happy zenith of the year, people. This is Lael Couper Jepson of She Changes, and I wanted to take a moment to let you know of the latest leap of faith that I am doing, as well as give a shout out to where we are in the wheel of the year. And if ever you were going to take a leap of faith, this is such a good time to do it. It's the zenith of the year, the apex. So this is the time of year of action, inspired action. It's why the Earth's crust heats up and invites us to move. So in the spirit of walking my talk and taking my own medicine, I am taking a leap of faith myself, and I have decided that I'm doing an event on July 7th in Yarmouth, Maine in the evening called an Unscripted Evening. And I wanted to give you a little bit of sense about that evening and what I envision it being about. Tickets are available now and people are buying them, so thank you for people who have already bought them. You can check out more on my website, and you can buy tickets on my homepage, off my homepage. But for anybody who has been to my evening of She Speaks in the past, this is very much in the same spirit. And I love that evening, and there's something magical about it. And I will be doing She Speaks again on December 8th of this year in Portland, Maine. But this is different. This evening is just me. And it's really a response to an invitation that I'm hearing more and more to for me to talk off the cuff, unscripted, and it's an invitation that I'm hearing from other people, and frankly, it's an invitation that I want to extend to myself, and I want to lean into and see where it takes me. For those of you not familiar with She Speaks, which is the evening of women's storytelling, I want to read to you an excerpt from my book. Unscripted, woo, woo. So you get a sense of what it is. I have never felt sexier than when I stand on stage during that event, She Speaks. And I couldn't understand why for the longest time. I broke through many of my own barriers up there on stage, strutting, stomping, and throwing my power around publicly as a means to finally shirk the last vestiges of my corporate consulting days. I cast off words that were no longer mine, like professional, credibility, and respected, in favor of words that better reflected me, like sexy, self-possessed, and refreshing. What we were doing on stage was serving up our sensuality, feminine power, creativity, and passion on a platter after heaping platter of words, and the crowds loved us for it. They sat on the edge of their chairs and laughed and cried and whooped and cheered for us, letting us know that what we were doing, something we were saying, or simply how we were being up on stage was turning them on. Our voices were literally vibrating loose, some new awareness in them, releasing what felt like a positive contagion in the audience that spread even beyond the scope of that evening. Power, chi, prana, life force, vitality, sensuality, creativity, spirituality, deep roots, running sap, smoldering embers in a fire, heat, passion, desire. It was the feminine being honored, embodied, and celebrated. So I want more of that. I want more of that. So this evening that I'm doing, ready or not, I'm going for it. And I'm nervous about it, and I'm really excited about it at the same time. So it really has 4 parts, and I just wanted to give you a little context. One part of the evening was inspired from my book reading, and it's doing some excerpts from my book and sort of wrapping some context around where that came from and what I've learned and lived into since I wrote it. So it's breathing some life into the words and giving some context for that. And then the second part of it was also born out of this book reading, and the questions. I want to make space for questions with an audience, and just go respond as best I can, because the questions that were asked at my last book reading were so thoughtful. They were so resonant with all of us, and they were the sort of questions that, yeah, I had some words and I had some thoughts in response to them, but they were the sort of questions that I woke up the next morning still thinking about them. And I want more of those. I watched how it nourished us all and contributed to that sense of us not being alone. And that taps into the third part of the evening, which is really about community. So I am a magnet for brave people and heretics and sort of rabble-rousers and rebels and people who swim upstream, people who are hungry, period. And so if you're looking for a tribe that will support you, even if it's full of strangers, it's not about making more friends. It's about being nourished by kindred spirits. So if you're looking for some inspiration, if you're looking for some mojo, if you're looking for some validation, if you're looking for some fresh perspectives, if you're looking to bounce up against some kindred spirits, this is your event on July 7th. I promise you, you will be in good company. So that's a little bit about the event and what it will be like. The other piece that will be in there woven will be me riffing on topics that I get the privilege of working with people every day who are doing these really bold and courageous things that scare the shit out of them. And they think they're alone. I know they're not, because I can see lots of people from my vantage point taking all these risks. And so they're themes that emerge from the work that I get to do, and they're very much in keeping with my own life. So I'm going to grab some of those themes that evening and sort of weave some thoughts about them. It might be readings from other things that I've come across. It might be my own experience. It might be some client stories that breathe some context and some life into topics that are really confounding for a lot of us. For instance, fear. Fear is hugely present for us these days. It's everywhere we look. And so, how is it that we dance with fear? And I'll tell you what I see, and I'll tell you what I hear as an invitation for you to sort of sidestep the mainstream fear thought and looking at it as from a different perspective of maybe having it be fuel for you, inspiration for you. And so fear is a topic that comes up. Another topic that I'm present to is this topic of and. I've been playing a lot with and. I play a lot with it in my book around this idea of improv, yes and, both and. So in this black and white society, we don't really like that very much. It's either black or white, here or there, A or Z. It's very much on a line. And so that dualistic thinking is how we are governed. It's how we're trained. And I'm looking at really the and that's in there. Yes, I'm this and I'm also that. And yes, I want this and I also want that. And looking at those as not mutually exclusive, but part of the whole of who we are. So those are a couple examples of topics I'll be riffing on. Bouncing up with your questions, doing some readings, and just richness of community. So if you haven't bought a ticket already, I'd encourage you to get one online. I guarantee it's going to be nourishing, and some kindred spirits will gather, and I'm really excited for it. I'm nervous about it, and it's a risk for me, and I'm super excited about it. So I hope to see you there. Tickets are available online. It's July 7th in Yarmouth, Maine. Hope to see you there.